And welcome back to coverage here of the World Championship. Marshall Sutcliffe with Paul Cheon. And Paul, we have a monumental match coming up. They are not going to stop today as we march our way towards the top four. We've already got one competitor in there with Andre Strosky, but we could have another at the end of this round. Out of all the players left, there is one player who controls his fate this round with a winning in for top four, and that is Sam Pardee with a 6-2 record here, Paul. A victory would give him that 7th win that locks you for top four. Now, he is facing down, though, a very tough opponent here. Yuta Takahashi had a disastrous start to his tournament with his 0-3 in the booster draft, but he has rallied with what seems to be a really good pick for the metagame in Standard with Izzet Dragons. He's 5-0 with this, and if he can win this round and the next one, he will also join the top four. Now, it gets a little sketchy for him if he loses one of these rounds and wins the other, because his tie breaks are going to be really poor after an 0-3 start. But really, the spotlight's on Sam Pardee here. If he wins, he's in, Paul.
Yeah, and Takahashi kind of turning back the clock a little bit here, because kind of coming into the format, this is what the initial builds of the Izzet control decks looked like. It was the shell with Smoldering Egg and Goldspan Dragon, and then, you know, the format kind of evolved until you eventually landed on the Izzet Epiphanies list. But Takahashi really just confident with the 8 dragon package that he has in his deck and thinks that it's well positioned, especially if you expect a lot more versions of Izzet Epiphany, just because he thinks that being more proactive is kind of the key to kind of winning in those matchups.
Takahashi digging for a land here with Expressive Iteration, and I'll tell you, Paul, he kind of nailed it, right? You know, we asked him before the tournament started, what did you prepare your deck for? Like, what matchups did you want to do well with? And he said mono green and Izzet turns. And
look at
that
this
is
start.
exactly where you want to be. And look at this. Dang, Dragon's Fire too. And now he's got the Ashmouth Dragon bashing. And wow, Yuta Takahashi is doing dragon things here.
That was a huge draw for Sam Pardee, because I thought he was just dead. But he drew the perfect card, Old Growth Troll, into being able to Blizzard Brawl it away. But, you know, that's not the end here. I mean, look at Takahashi's hand. We have double Goldspan Dragon into Alrund's Epiphany. So Sam needs another removal spell here to just even be able to try and keep pace with Yuta Takahashi's force.
I don't think he's going to be able to do anything now. There's no way he can assemble 13 power by next turn.
Yeah, not at all.
And that's going to be Goldspan, 8U, and then Epiphany.
Well, so you can go 4 and then 10, right? So you can just...
Okay.
Right?
Oh,
so
but there's a Smoldering Egg now for Yuta Takahashi, so that'll be a speed bump.
Well, so since Takahashi doesn't have mana to go Goldspan Dragon into Epiphany this turn, so all he needs to do is attack Sam down to 8, play Epiphany, then you have 6/6 in the air, then you just play the Goldspan Dragon on the next turn, and that should be lethal.
That is actually more than lethal, although it looks like he's going to go for Goldspan Dragon ×2 and then play the Smoldering Egg here. Oh, 2, 4, 6, 7. He has exactly enough, doesn't he, Paul?
Yeah, counting is hard. Excuse me. He will have exactly enough. Yeah.
Wow, what a draw from Yuta Takahashi. Boy, he said he felt like he had a good matchup against green. I don't think it goes quite that well every time, though.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
No, I mean, being on the play, and what he flipped the egg on turn 4.
Yeah.
Right? With interactive spells. I mean, he went turn 2 egg, turn 3 counter your spell, turn 4 double spell into Dragon Epiphany. So, I mean, that's as good as it gets if you're Yuta Takahashi.
Crazy. What a stunning opener here from Yuta as he picks up game number 1. He's trying to stand in the way of Sam now. If you're a Sam Pardee fan, there's good news here. He's 6-2. If he can win these next 2 games, he's into the top 4, done deal. If he loses one of these next 2 games, he gets to come back next round and do the same thing again. He will be playing for the top 4 again next round if he doesn't win this. So he is in a really good position with such a strong record. As I mentioned before, Yuta is not in nearly such a good spot because there's a chance that he wins here or the next round, ends up with 6 wins, which doesn't quite put you in, but could put you in a tiebreaker match, but misses it because of his poor start in draft with the 0-3. So a lot going on here down the stretch on day number 2. But again, in simplest terms, this is all on Sam. He needs to pick up these next 2 wins to get that top 4 slot.
Yeah. We did touch on it earlier, where how important doing well in draft is, right? Whatever your record is, it's so much more important to pick up those wins early in the event, as that does affect how your tiebreakers are going to kind of flesh out. And given Andre just not losing a match, there is a very, very high chance that we are going to see tiebreaker matches. And if that's the case, Yuta's start is going to mean that he likely will have to win out his next 2 matches.
Look at this little attack here from Sam Pardee into the smoldering egg. Can Yuta sniff it out, or does he just need to take the 2 to protect the egg? He's looking at his hand right now. It's got to be tempting to block. He doesn't, though, and Sam Pardee gets in for 2. Follows up with an old growth troll. That's a little old school bluff in there from Pardee as he passes a turn back over to Yuta Takahashi. Yuta has a nice hand, though. He does have burning hands as well as Prismari commands. So as you can see, the cards he has do match up well with the board, as he can burn out the old growth troll and then eventually kill the sculptor as well, depending on how... Oh, he's just going to go for the sculptor right now and give himself a treasure.
Yeah, and if you want to use removal spells, you want to do it now. After sideboard, these mono green aggro decks sideboard up to 4 copies of Snakeskin Veil. And if that's the case, whenever your opponent's tapped out, that's when you want to be using your interactive spells if you can help it.
So that means that we're not going to see Fading Hope here from Takahashi. There's going to be a second old growth troll on the stack. Remember, Takahashi has a treasure over there, so if he wanted, he could have done Fading Hope. But as you mentioned, Paul, he would have preferred to do that on his turn. Now, things getting a little sketchy here for Sam. He's got 2 more lands in hand with a Mammoth. And there's expressive iteration off the top from Takahashi, and he loved to see that. Did you see that? He was like, sweet, because now he can fire off Burning Hands and flip the egg too, right?
He can go Burning Hands and Fading Hope and have a dragon, or he can go Burning Hands, flip the egg, and the thing is, you see how much Yuta values this smoldering egg, so he might want to just keep up that Fading Hope to potentially protect his egg even.
Wow. So he sees Memory Deluge into hand. He does hit the land. It's a mountain. And we're going to see Burning Hands. That's going to take out Old Growth Troll. And now Ashmouth Dragon's on the battlefield.
Just another,
and what is he going to do here? He's going to start attacking. That's the first thing.
Is that just another turn 4 flip here from Takahashi?
Yeah, he's done it both games. Really impressive. He said he thinks that Smoldering Egg is the best 2-drop in the format.
Well, given by what we've seen in these games, not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you're paying 2 mana for a 4/4 flying dragon with upside, I can see why he thinks that.
Tell me more.
Yeah. Okay, Old Growth Troll's going to crash in, as well as Faceless Haven, and Yuta's going to take all of it here, Paul. He's down to 6.
Yeah, and it's getting a little dicey here. Now, Yuta does have access to Fading Hope, which he's likely going to target that 4/4 token that Sam's going to look to make off that Old Growth Troll that's enchanted on the forest. But he still has to find a way to deal with the Faceless Haven that can attack and the Old Growth Troll.
Sam Pardee giving him all he can handle here in game number 2. There's that activation that you mentioned, Paul. Snow-covered forest is going to get sacrificed, but it will leave behind a troll. And as you mentioned, if he's going to do it, he's going to go for 2 spells here, Paul. That will let him have Sam Pardee with no board at all. Well, I guess outside of the Faceless Haven.
Yeah, so again, trying to play around Snakeskin Veil here. It looks like Takahashi wants to go Deluge, 2 damage on the Old Growth Troll, then Fading Hope on the 4/4 token to finish off the Old Growth Troll here. And then keep the 4/4 back in case he needs to block that Faceless Haven if Sam chooses to activate an attack.
Very close here. Takahashi is going to need something else, though, to get him out of this mess. The Faceless Haven really showing its value here. One of the best cards in the mono green deck. Don't overlook it. What does he find? Prismari Command Goldspan Dragon. Now we're going to see Fading Hope on the token. The extra 2 damage to finish off the troll. So no board state currently here for Pardee, but he does have the Faceless Haven, and let's not forget that Old Growth Troll can get activated again pretty soon and make another 4/4.
Yeah, and if you're Takahashi, finding that additional threat was big because now he does have the luxury of potentially just going for the trade here with the Faceless Haven if Sam chooses to attack. The thing is, though, you have to keep in mind the green deck doesn't really have any direct source of damage, so you can potentially just afford to go down to 2 because it's so huge if you can keep this Ashmouth Dragon in play against this aggressive green strategy.
That's right. Even with all the 4 toughness creatures, if Takahashi can put 2 spells on the stack, he can kill something, and his deck's very good at doing that. Okay, Werewolf Pack Leader was a draw step here for Pardee, but he's just going to fire up the Faceless Haven and send it in. This is a big moment. Is Takahashi trading here? And he is.
Yeah, he is really afraid of a potential Inscription of Abundance if it goes unblocked, because if that happens, that would just be the game for Sam.
He finds another Smoldering Egg off the top of the library, but now he's facing down a 4/4. Now, he did get the Faceless Haven off the battlefield with that trade, though. Only 3 lands left for Pardee, and he has the 4/4 token, so Yuta has to feel like he's made good progress. He's getting very close to stabilizing, but this is still a close one.
Yeah, because now, I mean, he can... I mean, Goldspan Dragon is the best proactive move that he can make. Alternatively, he can just sacrifice his treasure and just Shatterskull smashing this 4/4, right? Eat that treasure, smashing for 4, play around Snakeskin Veil, and then just pass the turn.
Yeah, you know, he's looking at Smoldering Egg, he's looking at the dragon, but he's going to take that most conservative line that he can here, which is he's actually going to play a land after the Shatterskull smashing, take it down, and leave Sam Pardee with no board state at all. And we even see the Kazandu Valley played as a land here from Pardee as he plays Werewolf Pack Leader with double Ranger class in hand.
Yeah, and now the coast is clear. Things are not looking as bad here because now you can just play out the Goldspan Dragon and then run out the egg here for a potential chump. And I think Takahashi is probably just okay even with just having Sam take the turn off potentially to activate the Werewolf Pack Leader and go for the block. Although we know that Sam has Ranger class, so he gets a pretty clean turn here by just going Ranger class activate and then attack with the Werewolf Pack Leader for 4 to stomp through the egg.
Yeah, and that's a cleaner... I mean, because Takahashi also could just take the 5, right? Like if there's no Ranger class in play.
True.
I mean, you know, normally against an aggro deck going down to 1 is pretty scary, but we are talking about mono green here. It's all going to kind of be in front of you there. You know, they're not going to grab a lightning bolt or something. So Takahashi has a choice here, and he's going to block. You know, there are cards, as you mentioned, though, that could be in hand that could kill him there, and he's unwilling to do it. So he time walked him, as we say in the business. What did he find? Dragon's Fire. Wow, with the shields down too.
Big.
Because remember, Pardee's life total is plummeting here. He's taken 4 the last 2 turns. He's down to 8.
Yeah, and so now, I mean, he's not worried about dying here. He can go for the Dragon's Fire and still has the ability to cast the Memory Deluge here. Dig 7 cards deep to find additional answers.
Right. If he just finds another Goldspan, he could just be good to go here.
Yeah, another Goldspan or just 2 extra removal spells to deal with what Sam has in play.
That's right, because it's going to be Pack Leader and a Ranger class, so 2 creatures in play now for Sam, but it's mono green. He can't do anything this turn. This is a huge Memory Deluge now for Yuta Takahashi. If he can find... Well, there's a lot of things that he can find here.
Sam
right?
crossing his fingers. No Goldspan.
Another dragon, and there it is. A Goldspan Dragon is one of the cards. He puts it on the stack, and all he has to do is send with both, and Yuta Takahashi picks up yet another win. Paul, he is 6-0 in Standard after an 0-3 start.